Yay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Pit Stop. This is our recap for the finale, and I'm so excited to be joined by so many winners of the show. Of course, Kim and Penn, congratulations on winning season 33. We are so excited to welcome you to the winner's circle. But before we talk about the finale, I kind of want to do a quick update with Cindy, Laura, and Scott, just because I did have people write in asking, like, what have they been up to? So, Cindy, let's start with you. What's new since your season of The Amazing Race?
Oh my gosh, it was 11 years ago, so a lot is new. Let's see. Ernie and I got married. We had 3 kids. We've moved a couple of times. We've switched jobs. It's been quite a lot. Oh my gosh, it was 11 years ago, so a lot is.
Oh my gosh, well, we're so happy to have you here. I know we've been talking quite a bit since the finale of my season, so I'm so glad that we're able to talk about season 33 together. Does someone just have the YouTube up?
Me? No.
Oh my
that was trippy.
There's like some space-time reality stuff happening there, but I think no.
I think it was you, Laura, because you just muted and it went away. You might have a tab open somewhere.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
You're good now. You're good now.
I'm over here literally freaking out. Like, what do I do? I'm about to call you, James. Sorry about that.
You're all good. Laura, what have you been up to since your season of the race?
Oh my gosh. So I worked at Hallmark Channel for almost a decade, and I recently started my own production company. So right now I have a couple of shows in development, which is so exciting. And I have 2 movies that I'm writing as well.
Yes. And fun fact, y'all, Laura was my boss actually when I left to go do my season of Amazing Race. And yeah, Laura and I have been friends for
For Hallmark or for someone else?
Yes, at Hallmark. And actually, fun fact, you guys were on the show, Home and Family.
Yes. And we like to make fun of Hallmark, and we love you so much.
We did a bunch of fake Hallmark movies, and then the PR guy from Hallmark called us and said, you guys are awesome. I'm like, well, that's pretty awesome.
Well, nobody first called and left the message. I was like, we're going to get sued.
We thought we were going to get sued.
Yeah.
This isn't about us.
Not about us. Okay,
not about
Scott,
us yet.
what have you been up to? Yeah.
No, that's
I really want Cindy and I to like hang out now and have a cool story. I feel so left out. But I mean, I represent like the boring people. I went back to my normal life since my win. I have no social media presence whatsoever. I'm still a recruiting manager, and I'm just living the single life in Seattle and loving it.
I have to say, you, Scott, were Penn's very favorite Amazing Racer. Like he tried to like model a lot of.
Right. Do you guys remember the psychologist who asked you who like the racer was you most identified with in your like profiling thing? So you were mine. I know that's.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Yeah.
I can't believe they still ask that question 11 years later.
Real, like, do you kick pets? And do you like this?
Do you like to strangle animals?
Yeah. Some real weird stuff. Anywho, I forget that other people might be watching this, so I need to kind of tame it. Okay.
We're really monopolizing this
sorry,
conversation.
Keep it going. Sorry.
You're interesting. Why not? Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
James,
well, Kim and Penn, I know we'll get to the finale in just a little bit, but I'm curious to know what your casting experience was like. Have you applied for the show numerous times? Did someone contact you over social media? What was your journey with casting to ultimately get on the show?
So, always watch the show. When I think when it premiered, I was a reporter at a local station, like a CBS station. And I remember watching it for the first time. I'm like, this show will never last. Like who, and of course, 20 years later, but I've always loved it. But never, let's be real, you take 30 days off work. Like never in my life could I unravel it to take 30 days off work. And I went in and out of working for CBS affiliates. So you can't apply. And then, so we've been fans of the show, but never applied before Jesse reached out to us. We still had to, do the tape. The casting department reached out. We had to, submit a video. We had to fly out a couple times. We had to do all these phone interviews and the stack of paperwork. So that was our casting process. Yeah. We were lucky enough that somebody reached out to us.
Right. But then even when they did that, we were kind of reticent. I mean, we run a company. We have 2 kids. They were going into new schools when this whole thing happened. And we actually brought it up to them. And Lola, our oldest, became furious that we were going to pass on it, and actually said, like, what are you going to remember? Some random February or a time that you went on The Amazing Race? So they, like, our kids basically pushed us out the door.
And not that we didn't want to do it, but
we needed them to say
and like
that.
Cindy, you know this, like try to leave your kids now. Like try to, with both parents leaving, it's a big freaking deal. Mm-hmm. So that's why, as much as we wanted to do it, like that's a long time to be gone and not have contact with your kids.
I think we always thought we would have tried out for it after our kids went to college. And
then we're gonna be so old. Oh Jesus. Can you imagine doing
No, I can't. Everything's falling apart.
I know.
Everything's falling off.
We were like tape and glue by the time we got to the finish line.
The warranty has expired on the car that is my body.
Yeah.
So. Hold on. I just have to say, you guys are goals. You both have amazing bodies. Kim, your arms are like, I've been working out so hard since seeing those arms you have.
Oh, well, they look strong, but I'm a kind of a weakling.
No, you're not. Well, I mean, compared to like Ryan and Dust, that's like, that doesn't even count. Those guys are
they're like monsters, though.
Yeah,
but you did beat them.
We did consistently. Sorry. Did I say that
no,
we did. Yeah.
We love those guys. But yeah, good thing. But thank God it wasn't just a sprint or some big strength competition or like pushing a barrel up a hill. Because we would have been goners for sure.
Nico, amazing. All winter season would be incredible. Kim and Penn, your season seemed like there were so many challenges where you had to run or go uphill or do stairs. I don't recall any other season having that many like foot miles.
So and they didn't show a lot of it. You guys know this, like, because there's 40 something minutes with commercials. Mm-hmm. We had to drive more than I think we had 8 self-drives.
Well, it was just driving. There was no cabs.
Yeah. So 8 self-drives and then park the car and then many days run many, many miles. And of course they don't show that part, but yeah, it was a lot, you guys.
Yeah. The ones in Lugano, like that lake city, those stairs were, no one could do it in fewer than 3 tries. Some people had to do it in 4 tries. And I mean, it was probably like equivalent to going to the top of a 30-story building when you were done with it. It was
easily.
Oh my
maybe
God.
More. Yeah. Maybe more. Anyway.
Do you think that's the handicap they put in with the reduction of no airports, no taxis, not really multiple languages?
Yeah. So, I mean, and we signed up for the race that you guys had, right? Like we wanted to do, all of us wanted to do the big, and the route that I've heard rumor and like the little confirmation I got was pretty spectacular.
Arctic Circle, Tibet, like it was going to be pretty bonkers.
It was going to be really amazing. And so that's what we wanted. But then, so sticking to Europe, there was different languages ish. I mean, especially Greece was tough, but the self-drive, I would take a bad cab drive towards the end. I was like, give me a bad cab driver. I don't even care. Just stop. The self-drive I'm still traumatized. Like that was the hardest, without a doubt, the hardest part of what
the driving.
The driving.
Yeah. I mean, like there were some people who just they could not figure it out.
Yeah.
And it was stick shift, right?
There was only a couple, like 3 legs were stick shift, but just getting around and we're not for COVID reasons. These weren't, it wasn't like they took us to Athens where there's a lot of tourists around. They took us to these tiny towns where there was the town we were in the first leg. There was nobody around. And then it was like all older men to ask directions. And I think you talked to Lulu and Lala, like they didn't want to help women. Like, so Penn had to go ask directions. So there was like this cultural thing that was happening. But yeah, getting around, like it would have been a totally different race if we were taking cabs everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Which is still not easy, by the way. I think we can all attest to that.
No, yes. I know. And as soon as I say that with the cab driver and I'm like, I hate this, let me drive again. I know that. I know that's hard too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys had a lot of self-driving, which, from our season was our worst nightmare with Will getting stuck in an airport. But for your overall season, I'm curious to know, what was your favorite destination? Is there a place that you would go back to with your kids and make it a family vacay?
There were 2 that are like a tie. The Alpine Lake region in Switzerland. Everyone looks like Roger Federer just walking around in a suit. And all of the women look like Giselle, everyone was really smartly dressed. And you know how in The Amazing Race, when someone's smartly dressed, you think that they're actors who are part of the show.
Yeah.
So everyone in the entire town looked like they'd been cast for the city. And so that was one of them. And then Corsica is fascinating.
That little island off the coast of France.
So like Corsica, they were this island that France and Italy fought over for years. And I guess France won, but then like there's still an Italian area and they hate, like they don't like each other. And there's all these giant forts like on the coast. And one of them was like where we stopped to eat maggot cheese. And then there was this place called Bonifacio, like right at the end. And they had Napoleon there because that's where I guess he ended up. But it's like, it is the most stunning place ever. And like every city had like a little spot on a marina where people were drinking wine.
I know.
And
they were all like in Lugano. They were all like these really gorgeous women, like splitting a plate of ravioli and drinking white wine. And I'm like carrying bottles of wine up these stairs. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore.
So, and a couple of times we're like, should we stop? Could we probably have 5 minutes? Should we just stop and enjoy ourselves?
There was that lake in Greece. I'm like, I knew we were like pretty far ahead. I was like, we could stop and pound some Savi B real quick and fine. But like our the guy in the crew, he's like, my advice is to not do that. I'm like, oh, cooler heads prevail. So
I would appreciate you shopping on your own or buying your own food or what have you, because you know a lot of viewers don't know, once we check in it's like lockdown and we can't go explore.
They say it's on ice. That's the term, right? You're on ice.
But also, like, your leg money, you have to budget, like, when to spend it. Like, on our first leg, Haley and Kaylin bought a plate of spaghetti from Wolfgang Puck in an airport and blew all their leg money. Like, they first leg right out the bat, and they were like, we don't have our money now. And we're like,
yeah, you don't want to be that person.
Yeah, so probably a good thing is sometimes to not stop, but it's so hard on the race just because you want to be able to soak up everything that you're doing, especially your surroundings. But was there ever a leg that you were just like, I hate this, like this leg's just not fun?
The second leg of London, when it was raining and we had to climb, remember?
No, this is before pre-pandemic.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess this is kind of weird because it really got split into 2 seasons. Really, there were like 3 episodes to start the season. Most people really hated Scotland on our cast because
we loved it. We did great.
It was like sing and dance, sure. But the second leg in London, that was the one where I stared at a clue for 45 minutes.
Bless your heart.
And it was I knew that it was a clue because it was a clue.
It's a good thing he's cute.
Yeah, I sat there and like thought about it and lost, I think, 4 or 5 places. But then after that, we had to make these, I don't like to use the word stupid, but these stupid cakes for like 3 hours.
It wasn't 3 hours.
And then it was
like 30 minutes.
Right. But there was no, it was more than 30 minutes. There was a bit where everything does time warp, but there was a bit where we had to climb to this top of a tower. And then they didn't show it because it was the world's biggest slide that you're supposed to go down. And so we got up there and the wind was too heavy. So you got up there and you ran back down. So it was just running up and down a tower in the rain. And then we got to the finish line and it was in a double-decker bus and it wasn't even a finish line and no one felt good. Even though even Dusty and Ryan, who won the race, were mad.
They were like,
after that leg.
Happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a couple times when I think there's a lot of benefits of being the older person on the race because you have all this life experience. We knew how to read maps and there's all these things, but the also being older and having the experience of like having your own money and free will is like, oh wait, you're telling me I can't go order a glass of wine somewhere? Like I can't do this. So, and
you don't like being told you can't do something.
I struggle with people telling me what to do. So it's like a whole thing I'm working on. So I really struggled with you. Like, no, I just want to take a beat and sit down. But because of COVID, I mean, we were super locked down and I really struggled with the confinement of it all. So there was a minute or two when I was like, what the hell are we doing? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's hard in general being on the race because, being on it, we know this, but the viewer doesn't understand that during each pit stop, we're basically locked up by ourselves. And especially Scott, you were like me, where as an individual, I had my own room and I didn't see anybody sometimes for 48 hours.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't
think
about that.
If you bring in COVID and all those restrictions, I could only imagine it had to be so much harder for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was probably a minute or two where he would have wanted his own room. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, so we weren't, I think the first pre-pandemic, like they would bring us down to the lobby to have breakfast. Like you're not leaving your room at all. Like you're not expected to get a COVID test. And that's what they had to do. And we wanted that because if you got COVID during the race, you would stay in that, you were done with the race, but then you would stay for 2 weeks by yourself. I mean, with the medical team, like they had medical teams in place to be with you if you got COVID.
Wow.
But then so even if you got COVID on the last day, you are still stuck there for another 2 weeks. So I appreciated everything they did, but that's the part that messed with your brain that you can't show on TV. You know, you start making bad decisions, and that's why. But it's hard to. That's not good television,
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At what point in the race did you say to yourselves, like, we're going to win this? Like, did you ever have that moment where you're like, we're going to win, or we have this?
Like 3?
No, that we're going to win this, or we can win this.
I thought we could win it actually after leg 2 was our worst leg. He left because we had watched so much The Amazing Race, and literally a needle in the haystack challenges should take a minute. And he pulled out a clue. This
is the second time we've talked about this now. And this is great. This is awesome.
I love you.
Yeah.
So, but we left in 8th place, but then we made up so much time that we finished in 5th. So I'm like, if we really screwed up and we came in 5th, I feel like we could do this.
Right. But the answer of when we knew that we were going to win it, it's got to be got to be a different answer from Will and James. Like I'm pretty sure you guys had a pretty cozy lead for the majority of that finale. There were in the last 2 episodes, which were played out, there were 8 lead changes. And it was insanely close, and we were terrified of Dusty and Ryan because they're always they fall behind and they catch up. And then Kayla and Raquel were passing us on every single challenge. Mm-hmm. We would pass them on the drive over there, the navigation, and then they would pass us in the challenge. It happened 3 times on the last week, so we knew we were going to win it when we got to the finish line. It was so fast. You guys, the last challenge, I know sometimes you're ahead, then you take a cab to the finish line. Yeah. You literally go through a tunnel and there it is. That was I think an accent that Elise wanted to add to it that she'd never done before, which was really cool because it was over and then you're there.
I think they did something in season 31. Yeah.
Yeah, or it was 27 where the beach chairs.
The airplane one, and then 27 they did something similar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I have to say, Kim and Penn, your finale is the first time in a very long time I was actually shouting at my TV. Because I feel like even mine included, it's just you kind of know who's going to win just because everyone's spread out. Mm-hmm. But because of the girls and you kept changing, and then you're at the memory challenge at the same time, I had some very strong feelings. And thank God, that's old school Amazing Race.
Yeah. And
I appreciate it.
As a fan, I could safely say this, that the final 4 leg is always my favorite leg. The finale, just because of what can happen, it's I like watching it, but it's never so as a fan, I appreciate that was really fun to watch. Yeah. But as somebody who lived it, I'm still traumatized. And honestly, if you put one more task in front of
it's probably going to get changed again.
It would have changed again. Yeah. Or Ryan and Dusty, they weren't all that far behind Raquel and Kayla. By the time Raquel and Kayla came through, Ryan and Dusty were 15 minutes behind them. So really, it was really, they weren't that far behind.
When how far were the girls behind you? They assume not long.
It ended up being about 30 minutes. I think they took a minute once we went through the tunnel
to compose themselves. Yeah. And I think they were really stuck on a few things. And then they had started really then change, the math equation of it all. They started changing. But I think they were mostly just taking a minute to be we didn't know the shape of something or the color of something. And now we just came in second.
But when you look at the edit, and sometimes they'll alter things to make the edit more dramatic than it was. When we had what we had and they had what they had, that was the same. They were 1 away when we were there.
Yeah.
And we were 1 away when they were there. It just took them a while to figure out what the 1 was.
Yeah. But I think, I don't know how much of that was them working on it versus how much was them just taking a minute to compose themselves.
I agree with Scott. I was so excited with this finale, and I was on the edge of my seat. Will and I were like, what's going to happen? Will was pacing the living room. It was just such an exciting finish. Like, not to dog our finale, but yeah, we were 2 hours ahead of Hung and Chi. So there's no way that they were going to be able to make that look even remotely close. But that's what I loved about your finale, because it did feel very old school Amazing Race, where it was just that close and it could have been anyone's race. So it was a very, very exciting finish for sure.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm still traumatized. Yeah.
Was there ever a moment on the race, though, that you wish would have made the edit? Like, was there a special moment either between the two of you or with the other teams that you just really wish would have made the air?
They showed a lot of the special stuff between us. Like, don't you think? Like, there wasn't. I mean, I think that they. It's nice. Like when you get the winner's edit or whatever it is, they try to make sure that you see what's going on in that relationship. And I'm looking at all of you guys, and I remember moments in the relationship from all 4 of you. I mean, I almost threw up here. Like I literally almost threw up on the mag. I'm just trying to look through this stuff. That was about the same. You know what? Like one interesting thing that happened was I was driving through Corsica, and a motorcycle driver, I guess, didn't like the fact that I was an American in a convertible. He took his glove, he whacked me on part shoulder and part like side view mirror, broke the side view mirror off the car and sped away. And Herman like went after him.
Herman!
Oh my gosh.
Herman.
And a person who was part of security.
I don't know. And it's one of those things where they are like, we do our own little recap, and we've had to edit out some stuff because like they didn't show that. But I would say
this is live.
Yeah, this is live, y'all.
Sorry.
So I would say the driving in Scotland, every photographer, we got done pretty early because
I had a beer truck.
He had a beer truck. We're not supposed to talk about that either. But like it's opposite side of the road, and you're driving with the stick shift on the left, like the gearbox is on your left. So Penn is left-handed, and he's like super genius. So he figured it out. We did really well. I would say the crews on that day got out and kissed the ground because it was, and they didn't even show Akbar and Sherry laugh about it now, but they like went up a mountain, and they had to like back down a mountain, and he can't drive stick. And it was like the crews got out, and they were like, oh, and the fact that leg had to be shortened to show all the COVID stuff, there was some drama and some trauma on that leg. So I feel like that would have been. Yeah. And
they didn't have enough time to edit it because they needed we were watching it as producers, and we understood it. They needed 5 or 6 minutes to explain the fact that COVID happened. Right. Yeah. So there were a lot of moments they had to cut out of that race.
Wow. And just real quick.
I just have to grab my computer charger. I just don't want you guys thinking I'm just walking away. So I'll be right back.
I just have to say real quick, Kim, when we just saw you bungee jump, we all know, that's my favorite challenge I did. Now that I have a moment to speak to you, you said nothing, and I'm mad at you. Like, what is in your head? Just smiling and jumping off a cliff.
No. So hi, Scott. So, his cousin's a psychiatrist or psychologist, and she's like, you dissociated in real time. She's like, I've never seen somebody dissociate in real time.
Oh, wow.
And so how I get stressed, like, I'm really stressed. Like he knows I'm stressed if I'm quiet and smiling. He's like, oh crap. So I was so just my brain just froze, and I remember, like, I should open my eyes because I'm never going to do this again. So I should remember this. But I just felt like if I said anything, it would have been, I even tried to speak because this, like they put on this harness. They're like, okay, you ready to go? And I'm like, are you
yes.
I meant to say, like, are you sure this is tight enough? Do I have the feet things on right? But it came out like, it just came out like gibberish.
Do you remember we stopped and played back what you said?
I was like, I couldn't even form words.
Was that where wings take dreams, the Flarn, Bliggerton.
And I'm never going to do it again, obviously. But I would never do it again. I saw Lulu and Lala come in their cute little pink shirts, and I'm like, oh, I really have to do this now. And I just went, and that was so traumatizing.
It was funny. I was sitting with Ryan, and Ryan's pretty chill. You get pretty chill after spending 10 years in prison. He's a fascinating guy.
Oh my gosh.
I hope you guys get a chance to talk to him. But he's like, oh, Kim looks okay. She's smiling.
Ben's like, oh shit.
Like if you go to the gym with her and she's have a really tough work,out, it's like this.
It's so bad. I used to do triathlons and
yeah.
like all my race photos had smiling and it's not, I'm not happy. I'm just miserable.
But that was the most amazing thing, honey. Like you were, I'm glad that these guys appreciate it. I don't think anyone could appreciate it more than Scott, because there's also that moment, and I bet you had it too, Scott, like the moment leading up to and the moment after can be equally, that they can all be as difficult as the moment of actually jumping off of it, right?
Yep.
And I had to navigate for a 2.5 hour drive on the way there. So I was sitting in the back seat, and I remember he was so sweet. The crew, he's like, okay, what are you feeling? What are you feeling? I'm like, I'm also just afraid that we're driving 2 hours in the wrong direction. Like, so the fact that was actually nice that I didn't have to think about it, because I had to focus on the map. But I had a legitimate nervous breakdown in the hotel after that day. I got us so twisted around finding the rest of it. And that's where I was like, I don't think I'm cut out for this. Like, I can't do this. This is way too hard. So,
but you did it.
But I did.
You did.
But
yeah,
I did.
That was one of my favorite moments. You jumping. You and Sherry.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Sherry.
I was trying to find her. She doesn't have social, I think. And I'm like, you're my favorite person because you are now me. And it's like, I felt like she really
and like something. She was
go back and watch it. She was yelling, I can't do it. I can't do it. Jump. And then she fell off of the thing as she was saying, I can't do it.
And so they tell you that they're like, okay, let yourself bounce 4 or 5 times and then pull this cord to sit up kind of in that pike position. And I was like counting. The only thing I said, I was like 1, 2, 3. I was like counting like freaking psycho. And no, you're fine. What's up? Lewis is here. PC went on a bike ride.
Wimbledon just passed. Wimbledon just passed.
We're live. Let's not give our friend's address. We'll
text. So I'm going to tell you guys what's going on right now. I got it. There's a kid with a bike who doesn't live with us who needs to find out where my son is.
Okay.
And we're going to text Carrie, let her know, and then they're going to try to come meet him.
Okay. So Sherry did not get she didn't process those instructions, so she was dangling for minutes upside down. And you hear her yell, and to hear her retell the story, I peed my pants. She's like, "Get me up! Get me up!" And they like weren't sending the thing down for her. She's like, "Give me the bleep up! Where the bleep?" And it was just like cuss word. She's like, "They're not going to really use any of it." Get me up! Oh my god! I died. Oh, Sherry, love her. Oh my god, hero.
Laura and Cindy, did you have any heights? I can't remember if you had any heights or bungee on your season.
Yeah, in the finale, I had to scale down the tower in Dallas. Yeah. The heights can really get to you. You just got to go for it.
I think I would have been more afraid to scale down something than just jump off something. Maybe.
Yeah, the whole time, because it lasts so long. I think it took about 40 minutes to scale down. So the whole entire time, you're like, I'm going to die. And right before we scaled down, they had to sign a contract. They literally handed it to us that said, if you die, your family won't sue.
I thought you signed that in the beginning.
No, there was another one. The tower, the actual hotel made us sign an additional one.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was very comforting.
I actually thought for our finale, how they had us like run up to the top of this building. And I was like, oh, honey, if we have to jump off of this, it's your turn. Like, if we have to scale. I thought it would be like we'd have to scale down and find something. I'm like, that's all you do. I none of that.
They've done that a few times. Megan and Shane in season 15 had to do that. And then they repeated that same one in Vegas. We did, we had to tightrope across 2 buildings at 30 stories in Panama for our the leg before the last race. And the wind was like blaring, right? So I'm sitting there harnessed up, trying to walk across this tightrope. The wind is blowing at me. They're like, don't worry if you fall off. You only fall 2 stories. And I was like, I'm not trying to fall.
More than I'd like to fall.
Right? And then meanwhile, we had a similar team like your boys team. We had Andy and Tommy was our boys team that was just like smoking everybody. Andy literally just like ballerina jumps across the tightrope. Like it was no big deal.
That's not
And
good
I'm-
TV. No, I'm not gonna do that.
I was just like,
Redo.
No, let's
Like
go
you do
redo
that.
that. I'm gonna need you to look a little afraid. No, in season 25, the dentist, he they caught him or something. And I think something actually very scary happened in that moment, but I don't know. But that, but I think I would rather just jump it and then be done with it. Then you're done.
James, were you the one that scaled yours? Sorry, just wanted you included as well.
No.
That was
I got lucky because we got there and I looked up and I was like, nope, there comes Madison. That's all you, Will. I'm not doing it. and the clue said, who wants to feel the breeze in their hair? And Will has better hair than me anyway. So. But I had to jump off the bridge in New Orleans, which was like my worst nightmare. And I made Will did the king cake, and I thought the next one was going to be a memory task. And I thought that was going to be the roadblock I was going to get stuck with. So when it was jumping off the bridge, I was like, are you kidding me? But that's what the race is all about, you know, like it's pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. There was that quote you said, Kim, at the finish line about stepping outside of your comfort zone that I just really loved. So that's what the race is all about. So it's great. But let's talk about your final leg. You're here in Los Angeles. It was so funny. I had people DMing Will and I being like, they're in LA. Can you go find them? Can you go hunt them down? And Will and I are like, no, they need to live out their own organic experience. So you start off at the hotel, and I know you were saying, Kim, you thought you might have to jump off it, but how long were you there looking for the elevator numbers?
Not long. So we get the clue and we read it out loud, but process none of it. I was like, and like I could have been reading the alphabet. Like I just processed none of it, and then we needed to just find a clue box, which was a little bit of a maze to find the clue box itself.
So everyone simultaneously had race blinders, and it was this crazy thing where it said, find the clue going up and down. And all of the staircases were these weird service staircases, and they had writing and they had numbers on them. It was just like weird Sharpie writing. If you guys watch Die Hard, like when he's in the back area and there's like a nude lady picture and there's a bunch of other just stuff in the back, it was kind of like that without the nude lady, obviously. But so we were thinking that everything was a clue. I mean, Dusty and Ryan got to the point where they were just guessing random numbers from the race that they thought were gonna work. They got in the elevator and they went down to the bottom floor and then got stuck there and couldn't get back up for a while. But Raquel and Kayla and Kim kind of simultaneously figured out once they got out there. It's like we finally read it and it said, look for the clue going up and down. It didn't say look for the clue on the way.
Yeah.
Right. So it was the wording, and it took all of us 5 or 10 minutes to figure it out because we were just running around like crazy people.
So we ran to the first, we had to go down kind of through a maze of the building to get to the other tower to go up. So that took a minute to figure out how to even find one. And we found one, and Ryan and Dusty were there. And so as soon as we saw them,
we had to find another one.
I had a swear word and I turned around, and then we had to find another one. So by the time we found the other one, it took us 30 seconds of
what goes up and down?
Up and down. Oh, there's an elevator. So we had to wait for the elevator to come up. We thought we got it much faster because we were the first ones out in the car. So I was like, look at us. We are so smart. High five. And then Raquel and Kayla were neck and neck.
They actually passed us on the clue, and then we passed them in the transit. Again, it just that kept happening.
Man, I'd love to be the PA that was just riding that elevator, getting on your nerves. That would be so fun.
There was literally a dude in the elevator just hitting buttons.
And then how did they keep them from other people getting on the elevator?
They blocked the elevator. They're Amazing Race. They got big money.
It's LA.
Pick me off if I lived in that hotel.
Well, I was also going to ask, how did they get you to the top of the tower then? Did they make you take an elevator?
No. So we took the other elevator and we had to walk across a restaurant on another floor and come up a couple.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because the restaurant owner, she's like, "Can I get a picture with you?" And I was like, "This is not the time. I'm not." Right. So we had to go through that restaurant, and then we couldn't see before the race. Yeah. And so that's when they had us run up the stairs to start on the tower.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, you guys end up getting out first, even though Raquel and Kayla got the clue first, and you get to the pinatas. This pinata task I thought was so funny to watch. But
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
How many pinatas do you think there were? Did they ever tell you?
1,000, a million? No. So here
I was so frigging tired. And then
drunk with fatigue.
The best part was when I took my mask off, I didn't realize how much carnage there was on the ground.
So that's the part. I'm surprised
stuff.
I didn't put it in. I was like, well, second place in the Amazing Race is really good, babe. Sorry. So here's the hill I will die on. Okay.
I'm going to
sit back here.
Welcome to my TED
I'm going to have
Talk.
some bacon.
Okay. Have some bacon. So there's the things of pinatas. And you couldn't leave your little like taped off thing on the gazebo. If Penn didn't go psycho and knock down that one string of pinatas,
I just watched and started smashing pinatas.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I
Continue.
never would. I saw that we found the taco in the star like pretty quickly. That tiny donkey. And I think they even said, I'm like, they're all tiny donkeys because they had donkeys in different sizes. And so if he had not smashed that entire row, it was never going to expose the small one for me. Like I was never going to see it.
It was our bad cab.
I was like, we just had our bad cab. Like
So I like this thing. I'm just going to eat and say like one-liners for the rest of
I
this
know,
thing.
but then you're chewing and I can't. I like
ASMR.
I can't listen to chewing. So but Raquel and Kayla got out of there like 15 minutes ahead of us.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, well, that's it. That's our amazing race. But even like, I was like, well, our kids will see that we never gave up. And I always pull for the female teams, honestly. So I'm like, it's so great that they'll win. I loved them.
We love the female teams.
We love the female team. So honestly, and I'm like playing it out in my head. I'm like, second place is great. And that's like where I was mentally. And I'm like, this is the thing that's going to haunt me for the rest of my life. I'm so sorry. Like, this is going to haunt me. Sorry, babe. All my fault. Yeah.
I was just, I was excited to get out of there. I was very sweaty.
You looked amazing.
It was not a good hair moment for me. But, you know, like it's LA, right? We knew that wasn't the end. We knew there was more to come. And there was more to come. That was deep.
Like the Foley challenge, which I feel like was so right up y'all's alley. It looked so much fun. I, living in LA was familiar with Foley, but to see it actually play out like this and using iconic, amazing race moments, no less. It was just, I really enjoyed this challenge and I felt like it was very true to the city. And how long were y'all at this particular task?
15 minutes?
It took us 6 tries.
Yeah, but they're all pretty quick tries.
But they were all pretty quick tries. So I have to say, and because I thought we were in second place, I thought we were out of it. That was when I had let's just enjoy it. And I told the producers afterwards, because every challenge on the Amazing Race, you're more or less just trying to get through it. Like just trying to conquer, get through it. That was the first one I actually enjoyed. I think I'm just fascinated by the production part of it.
It was also, you like things that are quiet.
And it was so quiet.
So it was very quiet in there.
Yeah, and so we had to have them show us a couple times. We were missing some of like the little details of you have to like crinkle your gloves and then hit the thing. So it took us 6 tries, and it took us long enough that I thought like, oh, second place is great. And not until we got out and we saw Raquel and Kayla getting directions did I even know we were still in it.
And we probably could have been right on their necks once that was over. And we Kim writes down how long everything takes. I kind of remember in my head how long everything takes. We were obviously very close to them when we got out of that studio. And then we asked that guy for directions, and we were walking up to his phone and he was going to show us the map of where to go. And the camera cut over to something else. Well, as the camera cut over to something else, that dude's phone died. So we did not get to get right in the car. We had to go across the street and ask another person kind of where to go. And that was an extra 5 minutes. And then when we got to I hope I'm not going too far ahead, James, but when we got to the final challenge at the soccer stadium, we lost another 3 or 4 or maybe 5 minutes because there were 2 ways to go to the stadium. There was a direct way and there was like a roundabout way. And I thought we were supposed to take a right. Kim thought we were supposed to go straight. I got it wrong. I got it wrong. You had me hitting the pinata for half an hour. It's okay. I went the wrong way for 5 minutes. And we went all the way around. So that was my B. We went all the way around the stadium. It's the reason that we keep track of this is no one wants it to be their fault.
So it was
right?
Yeah. I was like, okay, well, good. It's like both of our fault if we lose this.
Right. Exactly. So equal fault. But anyway, we got there and we actually compared. Oh, look, it's Will.
Hi, I just wanted to say hello.
Hi, how
Hi.
was the competition?
Oh, it's great. We just had awards. It's fun.
How'd you do?
It was a solo, and she got 3rd place.
Nice.
Is this like Dance Moms, like Abby
It
Lee?
is exactly like Dance Moms.
Okay,
Crazy
awesome.
Parents and very talented children.
Oh, I love that.
It's nice to meet you. I just wanted to say congratulations, and I enjoyed
you.
watching you both on the show.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I used to teach dance, and I used to dance. So like that, I was hoping for more dance challenges. Is all I have to say.
We didn't have any on our season. I was mad.
Yeah.
No, we had the Paraguay bottle dance.
That's like
Oh, you guys crushed that.
That's like athletic.
That was movement. That was literally movement and balance. That was
Isn't it funny? You think something is a dance challenge and it ends up being something else. Like our flag thing that we did in Switzerland was basically an arm test.
It was an arm workout.
It wasn't like
Your
it
left
wasn't
arm.
really a choreography thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask when we were talking about y'all leaving the Foley studio. Raquel mentions, I should have told him not to share directions, and then it cuts y'all running down the alleyway, and I was like, they must have gotten directions from somebody else. So I'm glad you guys clarified that, because the edit was just so weird. So even if Raquel had said that, it wouldn't have made much.
Wouldn't have mattered.
Well, the memory task this finale was very exciting. I wish we had a memory task in our season. We were ready for it. But with how neck and neck it was with you, your team, and then Raquel and Kayla, and y'all just taking things on and off the board, like anytime watching any show with a memory task and seeing people take stuff on and off the board and interchanging things, it's so nerve-wracking, and I can't imagine being there. How long did this take for you two?
7 minutes.
So, like 6 or 7 minutes.
Wow.
So we got it. Our first guess, we were just one off because I'm crazy, and I figured out that it would be. I felt like there would be like an image or a number thing, and so I started drawing. I brought multicolored pens, so I started drawing pictures of everything very quickly. And we got, when they said fault at first, the gold coin. First of all, that task was terrible. And so the minute anybody got it, nobody was sitting there staring at it. So we should have just switched that out, obviously. But the thing that tripped me up is, and I brought that, they had those Jeeps, and I think the clue was like, it took you the rest of the way there. So in Corsica, when we had to go up the mountain to like either make the cheese or do the donkey, we had to jump in these little Jeeps. Ours was a blue Jeep because I'd colored it blue, and it was a blue Jeep. They didn't have a blue. The only other blue thing they had there was an actual blue Jeep. So I was like, are they going with the color or their model? So I was like, that messed me up because I'm like, they didn't have ours, but it was supposed to be like a personalized experience.
Yeah, we were, so you guys know this, and I like one of my favorite champion couples are the Beekman Brothers. The Amazing Race is a giant math problem if you look at it that way, and especially the memory challenge is a math problem. It's a probability situation, right? So we were 100% on all but 3 things, but that still leads to a lot of permutations because on that challenge, I'm not sure how much they explained it, there were 4 or 5 options from each thing. So if you're unsure about 3 things, you've got to run through all of those. And then we got to the point where we got more sure about the boat. We were a little unsure about the boat because Kim remembered that
I knew the color.
Kim kind of guessed on the boat.
I was like, I just picked the pretty one.
Yeah, but the writing was in Portuguese, and so like that needed a little bit of massaging. The truck, I think we had a logical conversation and said, I bet you the color is more important than the make of the truck.
No, the make of the truck is more important.
Sorry, the other way around. So we kind of put that in the 100% category, and then we were down to 2 things. And really, we just had to needle our way through them. And we did that in a very mathematical, like calm and collected way, more so than it may have shown in the finale. But the reason that we were at such high 100% numbers is because my wife is an anally retentive, obsessive compulsive person who soothes her anxiety by taking notes. And literally the last 3 nights, because it took 3 nights between the last leg and the final leg, she drew pictures of all of these things. You can probably show them if you want to, and had them spread all over the hotel room visually, like the type of hat that Napoleon had. What the guy's jacket looked like, who we met in Alstaden.
Yeah, because they
had
like
what the guy looked like in Corsica. She had all of these pieces of paper.
They were changing out, like, and I think that it was a little harder at first. I was like, oh, that looks so easy. but the guys, the greeter and Corsica, like they had very different variations of his hat to where like if this one had a liner on it, this one, like it could have driven you really crazy.
Yeah. But so Kim was so incredibly prepared for this memory challenge. And she started talking about the memory challenge before we left for the Amazing Race. I mean, anyone who doesn't see a memory challenge coming probably should know there's a memory challenge coming, right, guys?
Like every season should have a memory challenge.
Yeah. It's the best challenge of the race, period.
Right. Yeah. And it should be like a really good, we were prepared and even in the car saying, I really hope there's a really hard memory challenge.
Because that's the only way we're going to win.
That's the only way we were going to make up. And I don't know if that was like the hardest. That's definitely wasn't the hardest one there's ever been, but we were like practicing and prepared for something really, really hard.
And then we got methodical when we were out there. And I think those two things, like Kim's preparation and I don't know.
We got lucky. I mean, like, let's be honest. Like
the fact that I guess like, Raquel and Kayla were really close. They got tripped up on the color of the candy, which you can't really prepare for. It was kind of cool that they had a same day memory challenge thing that was part of it. And that ended up being what made a big difference.
Yeah. It was like also super heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I mean, they were so close. And again, like I always pull for the female team. So we all got to watch it together on Wednesday night. We were all together. And so it's like happy as, sitting there with our kids and they were so happy. It was like also gut wrenching to like be sitting next to Raquel and Kayla and watching it and seeing how close it was. It was like wonderful, but it also sucked.
Yeah.
Hi, Ernie, by the way. I just wanted to say.
Hi, Ernie.
Yeah, what's up, dude? How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
It's nice to meet you. We've been talking a lot.
Sorry, we're going to stop talking.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think every season needs to have a memory task. And I was disappointed with ours in particular, just because we didn't have it in the final leg. It was more so that
I'm sure you were devastated with that 3.5 hour lead that you could just like.
Yeah. But the fan in me, I just was ready to prove, because I feel like I took really extensive notes. I colored, I drew, like, that's why I loved any scene I saw, Kim, when you were taking out your pen and you were writing on the clue. It was just brilliant. And like, that's how racers should race. And so when we had a music challenge, which you couldn't really take notes on, and it was flawed, by the way. The Paris test, none of us were there for more than 5 minutes, so we never heard music. And that was the only flag we got stuck on. So I wanted a memory challenge that would, pay memory to the entire season as a whole. So I loved it. You all did amazing. You crushed it. So fun to watch play out. But the moment y'all ran into the stadium, what was going through your minds in this moment? I feel like it's an out-of-body experience.
Out of body experience. I mean, you guys have been, and I think you watched the show, and I've watched.
By the way, look at this real quick. Look, they're happy. See how happy they are? The other people are happy there, right? But they always have these cutaways where they don't look happy, and they're like, like cutaways. They were legitimately excited for us. I'm like, why does Arun look so pissed? Yeah, they were happy for us, which was nice.
So that's nice, because it was reversed for us.
Was it?
They gave the happy like cutaways, and then everyone's like, welcome.
We were rooting for you guys.
That's all right. We won. So.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry to answer the question.
We watched all you guys run across the finish line, and I always get emotional. Like, I don't know you guys, and I always get emotional watching it. So to know what it looks like, right? Because you were kind of imagining what the finish line is going to look like the whole time, and to like see it and know what it looks like. And I also, the entire time, I was like, are you sure? Are you sure? Did we really? Are you sure?
She legit thought she was going to get a penalty.
I know. I'm like, I mean, we parked. They said legal parking. We parked in a parking lot. And I swear, I think we overpaid. Like, I thought, like, the entire time, I'm like, I still don't believe it, you guys.
Yeah. For me, it was, I'm 47 now. And the warranty, like I said, on my car it's worn out. Like, my knees were in pain most of the last part of the race. My back was a little sore just from carrying the backpack. My calves were tired. My head hurt from waking up at 4:00 in the morning. And when we saw the finish line, every bit of pain in my body instantly went away. And that is a great, that like, I don't know how many endorphins there were left in my body for several months afterwards, because it just released all of them. And then, Kim reached for my hand, and that was just as important because I mean, she'd just become the hero that I knew she was going to be eventually. And you know, it was part of it was sad because it was the end of this month where we got to just have each other's back and be together and try this crazy stuff. But the euphoric part took over, and you know, I'll remember what the temperature was and where the sun was in the sky and what everybody was wearing, and I think it's like one of those moments that I'll just remember every little bit of it for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I love that.
What do you think, Lola? Our daughter just walked upstairs.
You want to come say hi? No, come say hi. Look, these are all you know all these people. They won the race.
No, it was, and then you're kind of like, you guys know this, you're kind of shaking. Everybody was kind of like afterwards because there's that adrenaline dump.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, you know, they take you off and then, you know, you do some interviews and then they try to feed you. And Dusty and I were just looking at each other. We're like, this is so weird. He's like, this is weird. I'm like, it's so weird.
It's so funny. Dusty and Kim had like all these little strange things in common, though they were like different in a lot of ways.
Dusty and I are very different, but in a lot of ways we had a lot of connection. We're like, this is so weird.
Yeah.
But it was obviously it's an experience that I will remember for the rest of my life. And now I'm just so grateful that I don't have to like lie to my kids about it and we can talk about it. And yeah,
it's gotten progressively longer. My season, we waited a year till it aired. James, you waited a year and a half.
Wow. Yeah.
And then Kim and Penn, you had 16 years to finish it. So.
Right. Yeah. We're going to get a call and be like, no, that wasn't the end.
That didn't happen. So ours actually, so we finished shooting. It was October 6th. We shot that finale episode. So it was actually a very quick turnaround compared to you guys. But it was the 19 months before that where we couldn't.
That would have killed me.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that
We
was
just assumed it was over.
Yeah.
James and I were working together during that time, and we kept, you know, every day we would come into work and be like, isn't it so crazy how they were in the middle of racing and they had to just stop? Because I didn't know if they were we didn't know, are they going to bring you guys back? Is it going to be completely new cast? How do they restart that? But they did such an amazing job. I mean, everyone knows here that cast and crew is beyond. Phil and Bertram and everybody. They are the best of the best.
I want to, so people have asked, like, would you do it again? I don't know if I would race again, because let me tell you guys are like cute and young, being like almost 40 and 46 this month. He turns 48 this year. I don't know how much more of that physically we can do, but I would love to work for the race.
Yeah.
The entire time I was on it, I was like, you guys, I was like doing my little task. I'm like, you guys are amazing. Like, I was so fascinated by the crew. So I want to work for the race.
Do you want, but you want to like Elise work for the race.
I want to be a challenge producer, because I have some thoughts on the challenges.
Yeah. Or you could be the Grim Reaper, which is what we called our person who took teams to sequester. When she showed up, we were like, someone's getting eliminated today.
I know.
And then you just get a vacation. So it could be that job.
Sounded amazing.
Well, just a quick question, because it's something that literally James and I, and actually Scott and I, have talked about so many times. So you guys, if they came to you and said, we're doing a winter season, would you do it?
My daughter just said yes.
I'm gonna eat bacon while my wife answers that question.
We have to do it so soon, because you guys, I mean, I like, you saw Penn. We got to that in Portugal. There's
I would totally do it.
A vision test at the end.
Yes.
And we got, when I tell you, we were there like 30 minutes before Raquel and Kayla. And so it was and then to guess, you had to go a quarter mile there, quarter mile back. So it's a half mile for every guess you made. And he made 8 guesses. And it was a vision test. So like, you know, Kayla's like so cute and young, and she has young eyes, and she got it. But like, there are some things like your age, it's not, this race is not easy on the young people. I would say if we can get our kids taken care of, maybe it was life-changing. It was the best experience. I love it.
Do you think they would let us like skip all the stuff and just go? Like that would make.
You guys, we're all not that much younger.
No, I'm 39. Cindy just said she's
40.
Well, you say your age. I don't want to say.
Yeah,
So,
like,
because they've been doing this for a minute.
So Cindy, would you go? Would you guys go? Kids?
I mean, we have 3 kids. 2 of them are right here, and then we've got a 13-month-old. be really hard to.
Right.
A month is a long time when
What
they're
if they provided childcare and let you like? No, I'm being honest. Like, what if they were like, hey, you can bring your kids with you? Because at this point, like, we've done this before.
I would love to.
But also, then we're like taking care of kids and trying to run this crazy race.
That sounds much better. So my 15-year-olds in the room, what I want to see is like Lola, my daughter and Penn go. And like,
we would get in so many arguments.
It would be such good TV. And like, don't eat in front of the microphone. The misophonia.
I think that would be. Yeah, I know. I was talking with Rachel Riley from many seasons. She's 3-time racer now, but she was even saying it would be fun to go back and race with her daughter, like to do at some point to have a former racer come back with their kid.
If we didn't have kids, if we were like single and with no kids, I would do this. I would like make that my full-time job. It's just applying for the Amazing Race. I would just go over and over again. That was, I think my kids did great. I mean, they are, when they were 11 and 14, when we went back, I think they were like 9 and 12 when we started. So they were great. They did great without us. I don't even think they knew we were gone. It was hard for me to be gone that long. So I want to say yes. Because I would love like not a real season, but I would love to know where we were going. You guys, they would put us in an airplane and we didn't know where we were landing. I would love to know where we were going.
Right.
I would love to jump in a cab.
There were a lot of anxiety inducing things. I think, you know what, I'll just say it. If look, the show has to do a lot of things for a reason to get this all done in time. If they could find like the most efficient way ever to get us in and out of a race, I think that the chances of people being able to do it like Cindy would probably go up, right?
Well, 3 weeks is a lot different than 30 days, right?
Yeah.
So that being said, I would love to produce your winter season. I would make the hardest challenges for you guys.
No.
Yeah, do it. Do it.
It would be like self-drive, park the car, run 5 miles, go find the car again. Because how do you even find the car again? Go drive. Oh man, that would be so hard.
You're mean, Kim. Be kind.
No.
Do it and do all the heights.
Amy's ready to do it. Amy's ready.
I mean, Amy, who's gonna watch the 5 kids if you and Jason come back? That's.
Oh my goodness.
I also don't know that I wouldn't like pee myself every leg after having 3 kids.
It was a concern.
No jumping challenges, and I'd be cool.
I have to say the finale party, I loved watching everyone's social media on Wednesday night just to see the live reactions of the result of you crossing the finish line. And the video of you sitting there with your kids was, Will and I were crying just watching it. It was such a beautiful moment. How was it for them to actually see, oh my God, you actually won? Amazing.
Well, do you want to come say what
you
was
can go
like?
off camera if you want to.
It was.
You got to come a little closer, babe.
Okay.
We've got Lola in the room next to us. So what was that like when you saw?
You can come also over here. Oh, she doesn't want to show her school shirt. Okay.
It was I knew because my mom like winked at me like 30 seconds before, and she gave me like that look. I also knew because they're really bad liars, but so I kind of knew before.
How did you know?
No, I didn't know until that day, because that day you were acting so like happy about like life.
Everybody was happy.
I know, but I'm saying like it was just I got that vibe. Like I just knew, you know. And every time I would ask my mom what happened, she'd be like, oh, it's fine. Like she wouldn't give us details. And I was like, okay, she's definitely hiding something.
You seem legitimately surprised.
I was, because I wasn't like 100% sure. And then like, because I saw you pour vodka into a cup and I was like, oh no. No, I thought you were like, it was a lot. And I was like, oh no. No, you looked so sad. You were pouring 2 cups of vodka. And I was like, oh yeah, they definitely did not win. And so then that made me think that they didn't win. And then you like winked at me like a minute before, and I was like, okay, they definitely.
You winked at her?
You winked, but like you didn't tell. You were just like, it was.
That's it. Contact broken.
Daddy poured vodka.
So. Daddy poured vodka. That was the tell.
A hefty amount.
Thanks, babe.
A winner does not.
A winner does not pour that much vodka.
Or does he?
Oh.
That but it was, I think our son was very surprised.
Yeah.
And I think I thought our daughter was surprised.
Well, I was surprised just because the vodka threw me off.
the vodka.
So
Kids will keep you humble, guys. Kids will keep you humble.
I love it. Well, I don't know what else to talk about. I mean, I have so many questions, but I know that we've already hit an hour, but
I'm
so fun.
I've got to get my kid to a trampoline park, and I'm going to leave Kim here because she's much more entertaining anyway.
I am.
To talk to you guys as long as you want to. We are in awe of all of you guys.
Yes.
She mentioned Scott, you were my favorite. I love the way that you kind of found a way to break down the fourth wall and make the race full of so much joy. I also thought that your partnership was pretty unique, and I thought that you guys, even I kind of saw through the edit and saw that you guys got the most out of each other, and I could say that about everybody else who we're looking at here. The people who win the race are the ones who get the most out of each other, and I thought that was really cool to see for all of you. So it's an honor to be on this podcast, and I hope we get a chance to talk more, because it's crazy sitting and talking to you guys about it, because I still think even after this podcast, I don't know if people who haven't gone through it can really understand it.
Yeah.
It's a special sort of trauma.
Thanks for the super close up, Scott.
I know. Someone FaceTimed me, and I wanted you to look into my eyes.
Right. This is a really awkward way for me to leave, but I'm going to get out of here now. Whatever's going on,
I got to fix it.
Have fun. He's going to go. He's on carpool duty. But if you did have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I do, because we did exit interviews with Dusty, Raquel, and Kayla, and Arun and Natalia, who are all lovely, by the way.
Wonderful.
We asked them, so I'll ask you this too. Were there any race elements that you wish you would have had, whether it was a U-turn, a yield, speed bumps clearly were non-existent at the restart. Were there any of those elements you wish your season had?
I was always afraid of the U-turn, and we had kind of decided, there's Scott. We had decided that we would use the U-turn if we were in the back of the pack, and we felt, but other than that, we were not going to. But I do know it's part of the game. We also had planned our reaction of if we got U-turned, we weren't going to be super salty about it. We were going to show up and smile. It's part of the game. I'm surprised there wasn't a U-turn, and I don't know if they have theories, but my theory about the no U-turn was, and this is just my theory, is that, in that time before when they're explaining the rules and everything, they just kept on preaching fairness. So there would be, it was because they want to make it fair. Everything was fairness. I do believe because Arun and Natalia and Mike and Mo had been eliminated and they had gone off and left us. And so it was very clear to me, at least, and when we were in Scotland, that we weren't going anywhere. I knew we were going home. That, so after we got the word we're going home, you can't just it wasn't the next day they sent us. So we had a couple days in Scotland together as a group where they let us be with each other, and we really did. We had it's what happened at the Hilton in Glasgow stays there. So I won't say too much, but we had a chance to bond. We made really good friendships. We started a pandemic together. So I don't think it would have been fair to Arun and Natalia and Mike and Mo to have a U-turn, because I think collectively we all would have tried to protect that bond. And it would have been fair. But I don't know if that's the reason why that they didn't have it.
I do think there's some truth to that, because when we talked with Lulu and Lala, we asked if there was a U-turn, who they would have U-turned. And they mentioned that Arun and Natalia probably would have been someone that you would have U-turned. So I think that's a fair theory. And I think that totally makes sense. And hearing that, I'm glad in a way that this season didn't really have U-turns.
Well, and
y'all had a different bond.
Yeah. But everybody was expecting it. I'll be honest. We were all expecting it. I wish there had been speed bumps. I think I didn't, and as somebody who came in first a few times and by a large margin a few times, I didn't love having to start neck and neck with somebody who, you know what I mean? I wish we had started in even 10-minute increments, but one at a time.
We called that the equalizer. Every time everyone was on the same flight, that would equalize the entire race. And then you're like,
and you guys all have those. Everybody was equal. So either have us all start at the same time, or 10. I I don't love an equalizer every leg. Like I know, James, like your season, it was like an equalizer every leg, and it was
yeah.
And there was no motivation to me. So
Mhm.
we were constantly fighting to be, because we wanted that higher departure time. So I do think there's probably a way to design it to where there's like a 10-minute or 15-minute, because when it comes down to it, 10 minutes and 15 minutes isn't that big of a deal, but it gets people navigating by themselves. And so what would happen is people would just follow other people. And
That's
so if you're getting people navigating by themselves or making decisions on challenges by themselves. So, like, I think you're running the race. To me, when you watch this race, you see the reactionary thing of like, you can watch a season. And so like in season 32, there was all these equalizers and the yield was terrible. And so you were forced to like react to the yield, to me. So I figured they would take that out and they would find a way to like separate people. I just don't know that they separated people enough personally.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I know, like you mentioned, our season was pretty much all equalizers. And then on top of that with the yields, it kind of forced more of a social race, which I know viewers hated, but like that's the cards we were dealt. Like the whole premise was to not get last at this point. As long as you don't get last or piss off a team that's going to U-turn or yield you, you gotta rely on social relationships with other teams at that point.
And I think we would have played it a similar way. Your season became, I think Scott played a good social game too. Like that, to me, like you had to play it that way. And I think especially with all those yields, you had to form you had to make those promises to people. And if there was no value in finishing second or seventh, stay behind and help somebody if that's going to benefit you, if they're not going to yield you. So that, to me, like that wasn't a you problem. That was an arrangement problem.
It was just the format. It was just different.
You were kind of the victim of the format.
Yeah, and didn't Elise say in an interview after James, your season, that they were going to change something to where sharing wasn't? They never explicitly said what they were going to change, but Kim, did they say in the rules that you could not give blatantly an answer or anything of that nature?
No, they never did.
So they didn't really change anything.
unless I was like doodling through that part of the speech, like no. But interesting though, we didn't, like, for as much as we were I feel like I was very protective of like Lulu and Lala and Raquel and Kayla. Like I wanted to always help them. We never really had an opportunity to like help them. Like even, Raquel and Kayla and we did that, like the fish memorization thing together. We never gave them our answer. But production had like one table together. So even when we had opportunities, like we would help as much as we could, but we would never give answers necessarily because we didn't have to. Because if there was a yield coming up or whatever, like maybe we would have been more inclined to help. We always helped when we could, but we, just never did.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any more questions?
I just have one quick question, actually. So there was everyone had their thoughts on the chartered planes.
Oh, yeah.
And if that was an advantage, if that was a disadvantage, because I flew around the world 37,000 miles in a middle seat in coach. I never got an island, never got a window. So I'm just curious, what are your thoughts?
The thoughts are that when we were talking, YouTube production, they're like, oh, and they would joke like, oh, when you come back from All Stars, I'm like, only if it's on this freaking plane, because we did the first 3 legs in middle seats, right? And Penn is 6'5", and middle seat across an ocean it's hard. And we get on Big Phil, and they're like, oh, we're gonna stick you guys in the back, but the seats, and they're like, they're not a full recline, but let me tell you guys. Like they try to create disadvantages, and there were some, like we never knew where we were going. We couldn't do any research. We didn't know the names of the cities we were in. So even if we're opening up a map at the beginning of the day and it tells us to navigate to somewhere, we don't know what current city we're in. So we know we're in Greece, and they give you a map of the country of Greece. but they say to get to like we don't know where we're going. We don't know what city we're in. So there's
I wish they said
They
that.
gave you maps?
Some lakes they had map because they were trying to minimize us coming in contact with people. The maps were not, or then they would give us like the Chamber of Commerce map with the big tourist attractions, but we needed to go over here.
Yeah.
So it was like they're not going to make it easy, or they give the entire the map of the country, and we needed to go to one small neighborhood. So none of it was. So there were distinct disadvantages, but guys, let me tell you, this plane, I mean, it was lovely. And if we're going to do the race again, it has to be on that plane. It was a huge, it was huge.
Did the plane have food? Because I mean, I didn't mind the airplane food on any of the flights, but did it have food?
The most delicious airplane food I've ever had.
Oh my God.
You have to talk to the other
And I mean, I'm hoping, well, whatever, like the race is done, right? So CBS is not going to like, but you would hear our backpacks getting off. It'd be like click, clink, click, clink, click, clink. It's like the airplane bottles, like the flight attendants felt so sorry for us because the entire time Raquel and Kayla are like, just tell us where we're going. Tell us where we're going. And they would put like goodie bags of airplane bottles and we were taking them off the plane, like click, clink. And we were like running with airplane bottles.
What?
Click, 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 click,
Oh
click,
my
click, click,
God.
climbing those stairs. It was.
Were you allowed to
And
talk
yet
to
no
the
one was
other
drunk.
teams on the airplane?
That's what I'm saying. That's why we're so close because they were in the beginning for that first like 16-hour flight. They were like, don't talk. But there's no TVs on the airplane. There was no any way to occupy ourselves. So I think they kind of gave up on that. So yeah, we got to talk.
We were not, I mean, on the flights, I guess during the leg you could. But yeah, you can't really talk to the other teams.
I know. And once we were like out of the airplane and out of the airport, no. I mean, there's not an opportunity. But on the plane.
But there's no fighting over each other to get to customs. Like we would literally fight
Which
to get
they stopped
first in line to customs.
Which they stopped anyway. Like I think they stopped like running off of airplanes. Like
Oh really?
wish
You couldn't run?
No, they brought us through.
It's a bad look.
Yeah,
It's a bad look.
It was a bad look. Yeah.
It is. It is. It's completely bad, especially when you don't run as fast as everybody else like me.
Wow. Just like we're
bad luck.
obnoxious Americans going through.
Yeah.
It's not.
We were allowed to talk to We were allowed to talk to other teams on our season as well. And like there were times where people from like one representative from each team would like go to the back and we would like talk to the flight attendants and get details. And they would give us like huge bags of snacks to take with us on our legs. Yeah, like we were allowed to do a lot on our planes too. But
wow.
Yeah,
we talked to our flight attendants and tried to trade money with them. Sometimes they would exchange your cash or sometimes they would give you money. In airports, that was a huge advantage point for us. So I'd be curious on.
Yeah, so we couldn't there was none of that. Like there was no, like nothing could happen in an airport. Like we couldn't even take a map if we passed through and there was like a map display. And I heard somebody's interview, like Lulu and Lala said, like in Greece, they snagged a map, but that was like illegal. You couldn't have once you hit the mat, you were on ice. Like you were not allowed to gather any information. You were not allowed to. Yeah.
So did they give you the currency of the country then? Because we used to just get American dollars.
Yeah, because we couldn't. We were also in places I never once saw a currency exchange ever. So
fascinating.
Yeah,
it's such a random thing, but I remember being on the race and then we go internationally, and I'm like, oh, they still give us dollars? Like that's such an annoying thing that we have to do that causes no drama. It's like, just give us the currency.
Well, and our first, obviously pre-pandemic, like the first time we met Raquel and Kayla, it's like on camera. We were like stressing about like, how much do I get into, like, we're going to the UK. Like, how much do I, I don't want to do it all because you have to pay the fee and then to pay the fee again. And I was like doing and like, you're so right. Like it causes like all this mental anguish for what? They also would not tell us if we were racing. So they would say, be ready at 6 a.m. and it would be for a COVID test. Or the next, like, be ready at 4. And then we were actually racing. And
Wow.
at some point, you see Sherry and Akbar wearing sweats, and that when she's jumping off the bridge, they thought we were traveling. And at some point, I was like, "What is the advantage of not telling us when to be ready to race?"
Anxiety.
Just the anxiety. And so they started to say, like, it's like later, like, okay, you're racing, like, because you didn't know if you were leaving the room for a COVID test or leaving the room to race. So, yeah.
The only time I feel like we got that was the start line, if the other three can agree with me. Like you go to start city, but you never know what day you're leaving.
Right.
And then there's like interviews and,
it was
all
that
the time for you.
All the time.
Ooh.
Well, I'm just really thrilled that all of you were able to even finish the race in the first place. I know we've talked about it, but like I can't sing production's praises enough because like this show's incredible. It's the best crew in the business, and I'm so glad that we all were able to experience this incredible once in a lifetime opportunity. But I'm just really happy with this season. It was a lot of fun to watch you and Penn.
Thank you.
It was.
Welcome to the winner's circle.
Welcome, fellow North Carolinians, too. My parents live in Raleigh.
Really?
And I'm from Charlotte.
I don't think I knew that. Well, come find us when you come to visit.
I will have to.
Please do. Please do.
I will.
Kim, everyone at my office, so I work at Google, which owns YouTube. Everyone was so excited. They're like, the YouTube couple won. And I was getting pings all day after the finale. It was awesome.
Oh, and normally people hate the YouTube couple. So thank you.
Yeah. Well,
not like a YouTuber.
There was that whole YouTube season, which was super fun.
But there's another season.
There's another race winner who works at Google too, Tammy. She was she raced with Victor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And Scott, you and Star are two winners on the other side of the fence in the blue square.
That's right. I reached out to Star when I started working at Meta, and I was like, "This is awkward, but I was a fan of yours, and now I'm also a winner. Do you want to hang out?" It's just really funny.
So you work for not Meta, Facebook Meta? What?
Well, Facebook is now Meta. So.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yes. So yes, I work at Meta. So Cindy and I representing big tech up in here.
Wow.
So if anybody needs a job, here I am.
Yes. Well, this has been so much fun. It was so good to see all of you. And this is, like I said, a great season. I'm glad we were able to recap it. And I'm really excited for season 34. When we talked with Phil on Friday, he said that they're gearing up, hopefully filming May, June. So hopefully we'll get another season sooner rather than later. And if you haven't applied, if you're watching and you're like the person who's always like, I want to do it, but I don't know if I will ever get the chance, just apply, because you never, ever know what they're looking for. It might be your chance next. So just do it. Make the video, go to the website and apply, because you won't regret it if you are at the starting line and get to hear Phil say the world is waiting. It's the best experience.
That's true.
So thank you everyone for watching.
Thanks for having us. Congratulations.
Thank you guys. Congrats. Meet you guys.
You too.